Welcome back to the Global Ledger. I'm Justin. Before we begin episode 51, I want to pause intentionally and explain what we've done so far, why we did it this way, and where we're headed next. Think of this episode as a map or a table of contents and a reset point, especially if you're joining us for the first time. Because what we've built over the first 50 episodes isn't just a podcast series. It's a framework, a usable framework, hopefully. And I will go through some of the parts and some of the directions we're heading. Let's get into it. So what were the first 50 episodes really about? If you zoom out, the first 50 episodes answered one core question. How does the modern financial system actually work? Underneath all the headlines. We didn't start with the Fed or interest rates or inflation or policy debates. We started with something more fundamental, and that is liquidity, because everything else flows from it. Okay, so episodes 1 through 10 were our foundations. So that was the first arc. We answered, what is liquidity? Why do dealers sit at the center of the system? How is money actually created? Why do bank runs happen? What is shadow banking? How do repo risk premiums, discount rates, and the yield curve fit together? This arc built the mental model you need to understand finance, I think. And all these episodes, some of the episodes will have my opinion in here, but a lot of this is facts, especially when we talk about dealers and we talk about money and bank runs and how this happens. It's not any ideology. It's just these are mechanics. Okay, so that was episodes 1 through 10 in arc 1. Okay, and I've laid all this out in playlists, by the way, in the channel, so you can go to playlists in the channel, and you can go to arc 1, arc 2, arc 3, and so on and so forth. So things are more organized and not all over the place. Okay, there's an order to this, and which is my point. So in episodes 11 through 20, we talked about the global dollar system. We zoomed out, and money stopped being local and became global infrastructure. We explored the Eurodollar system, FX swaps, collateral, dollar shortages, credit spreads, leverage cycles, and so on. So this arc explains why the US dollar sits at the center of global finance and why stress often shows up first in funding markets. Okay, and then we moved on to episodes 21 through 30, and we talked about the institutions. And we asked a different question, typically. We asked, who actually runs this system day to day? This structure, these participants, was challenging for me to understand in the beginning. But everything clicked once this started becoming clear. So in episodes 21 and 30, we did that. We looked at the Fed as a dealer of last resort. We looked at primary dealers, money market funds, hedge funds, pensions, sovereign wealth funds, clearinghouses, bank regulation, and the treasury market, so on and so forth. This arc, demystified the machinery, also without glorifying it either. Okay, this is very, very cut and dry, to the point. 9 or 10 episodes. Okay. So in episodes 31 through 40, we talked about crises. Okay. This is about stress, because systems really only reveal themselves when they break. We walked through how liquidity crises begin, what really happened in 2008, the 2019 repo blowout, COVID dollar dash, inflationary crisis, emerging market stress, and how crises actually end. This arc turns financial crisis from, shocking events into recognizable patterns. And that was the hope anyways through those episodes. in episodes 41 through 50, we touched on valuation. Okay. We connected money, okay, to price. And this is really where money markets start to meet corporate finance and funding, and the Fed meets corporate finance. Okay, we explored cost of capital, equity risk premiums, funding mix, term premiums, discount rates, liquidity adjusted risk, and so on. We did a good we did 10 episodes during that. So by episode 50, we had answered how liquidity becomes price. And again, these episodes are broad, and I know people have more questions. I know this, but it's good to continue to listen to these and reinforce these ideas that seem really just not just weird. And so just continuing to hone this in and listen, and I'm here to try to help connect the dots. We're going to go deeper on all of the things we talked about in episode 50, okay? Episodes 1 through 50, as we go along. So, and I hope that any questions that came up through episodes 1 through 50 will be answered as we go along. And if they're not, you can comment, message, and I will be glad to try to answer them. I do want to take a moment though and talk about what this series isn't. Okay, it's important to be clear about this. I don't want to make this. I don't think this is a trading show or a politics show or a fear-driven macro channel. Now, that does not mean that that I will not ruffle some feathers. That does not mean that I will take on myths and headlines that may be stretching the truth a little bit and maybe instilling fear. And I do plan on tying in fiscal policy, and you can call that politics, but I plan on tying in policy, whoever the president is, and that effect on the content of this podcast and on this show. So, and if we can drive traffic and get people interested in the truth, then that would be great. I don't know how much luck we're going to have, but at a minimum, I think it's important to keep the truth and the mechanics center in our thinking when we talk about this, because this has very lasting effects and wide effects. So the goal is not, prediction or anything like that. I want to kind of stay away from this. I want to really focus just on orientation. So when something breaks, moves, or shocks the world, people aren't confused, okay, or we're not in fear, okay. We want to recognize patterns, and so when, as an example, when the repo facilities are being used, this doesn't turn into some massive fear-driven liquidity event, catastrophe that I've seen on some headlines. So I wanted to take a minute and just make that clear. It doesn't mean we're going to not ruffle some feathers and, maybe have some thoughtful disagreement with people. I am going to speak my mind in relation to what people are saying. There'll be some response videos, and yeah, so there'll be some dramatic moments, but I will always revert back to the core principles and the mechanics and the truth about the system, as much as I know about it, which it's ever changing. and I continue to learn myself from others as well. So let's talk about what the next 50 episodes will do. We now move forward. Okay, so episodes 51 through 100, okay, take the framework that we've built and we start to apply it. And this is where we're going to start getting really detailed. Episodes 51 through 60, we're going to go into monetary policy and practice, okay? We're going to cover all these little words and elements and nomenclature that we hear, interest on reserves, Fed funds, QE and QT, standing facilities, the discount window, forward guidance, financial conditions, and the limits of policy. This arc replaces myth with mechanics, in my opinion, okay? So this is where we're going to start getting really technical. So that's what we have planned for 51 through 60, okay? So episode 61 through 70, we're gonna go global again, but this time with a tactical purpose. We're gonna explore reserve currencies, petrodollars, trade finance, cross-border banking, dollarization, capital controls, the IMF, and why de-dollarization is harder than it sounds. So these are the kind of topics we're going to cover. This arc connects money markets to geopolitics, and global power. Episode 71 through 78, we're going to zoom into daily market behavior. Okay, so we're going to explain how prices are actually made. We're going to explain bid-ask spreads, high frequency trading, volatility markets, dealer hedging, ETF liquidity, arbitrage rate. We're going to go into all of this. Okay, this arc shows that markets move because of structure, not emotion. Okay, 81 through 90, we're going to start bringing in technology, regulation, and change. I think this is really important, especially for this day and time. We'll cover regulation trade-offs. We'll cover central clearing, tokenized collateral, CBDCs, stablecoins, AI, and markets. We're going to talk about all that, operational and cyber risk. We're going to really get into the nitty-gritty, okay, of this. In episodes 91 through 100, we're going to synthesize everything we've learned, and we're going to bring everything together. We're going to build a unified balance sheet view of the global system. We're going to distinguish liquidity from solvency, read crisis in real time, apply the framework to real cases, do some case studies, and assemble really a complete mental model of modern finance. And keep in mind, episode 100 is not the ending. It's a capstone, okay? Because other series that will be alongside the main series, the main arcs, I'm going to do deep cuts where we're going to talk advanced, very technical topics for power users, okay? We're going to continue our special editions, real-time clarity, during market events. We're going to have a series on mythbusting where we're going to clear some common misconceptions that are widely accepted, and I'm surprised by that. And we're gonna do another series, some short series, really focused explainers, and definitely we're gonna do some case files, real forensic breakdowns of real crisis and institutions. And again, these series don't replace the main arc; they just support it. They add a little bit more of what's needed to probably grow the channel. I'm realizing that in order to grow the channel, there's going to be we're going to need some I guess back and forth with people. I want it to be respectful. I can't get on board with disrespectful disagreements. I would like to bring truth to the table, and in hopes that I'm either corrected with something that's more true, Or I can at least get somebody thinking differently about what they're talking about. So I know there will be some issues, I imagine, but this is okay. This is okay because we're all in this together, and so that I'm okay with that. But so these other series that I talked about, deep cuts, special editions, the Mythbusting, case files. These are, I think, what people may be, might drive a little bit more traffic. We'll see what happens. But before we end, I don't want this to be too long. I want to tell you how to use this podcast, okay? If you're new, start with episode 1 through 10. If you want structure, follow the arcs in order, okay? If something breaks, check the special editions, okay? If something doesn't make sense, it's probably covered in a ledger note or myth-busting episode, okay? This is not meant to be consumed all at once, okay? It's meant to be returned to over and over again. That's my hope anyway. And more will continue to be added. And I will start doing visual videos with me on video after we get past episode 100, probably sometime in January. So anyways, I want to, you've made it this far, and I'm really appreciative of everybody that has commented, engaged, been a part of this. And I will continue to be grateful for every subscriber, every comment, every like, every dislike. But what we're building here is slow. It's deliberate and structural. And that's really the point, okay? Because clarity beats speed. Understanding beats fear. And structure beats noise. So once again, I'm Justin, and thanks for being here.